to the graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, the guy who makes all those unlistenable podcasts over at smodcast.com, and you're listening to the Two Strangers, One Podcast. This is podcasting.
Great to be here. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Oh my. Hello, my fellow Earthlings. This is Hikaru Sulu. You may remember me as the helmsman for the Starship Enterprise. You know, I don't usually listen to podcasts, but when I do, it's Two Strangers, One Podcast. Chris and Paul make me feel like I have a tribble in my pants. Set phases to sexy. Suck it, Shatner.
Well, hello and welcome to Two Strangers, One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
Go Power Rangers, you motherfucking Power Rangers.
Why are you singing this song?
Because that fucking, that clip, what was the guy's name? Joseph Kahn, director, the new Power Rangers, well, not new for Power Rangers, an unofficial Power Rangers video has hit the, and first of all, I'd like to apologize for us taking so long in between episodes, and Oscar in particular, my favorite fan.
No, wait a minute. Fuck you, Oscar. Fuck you before you even start, bitch. Fuck you. Have the Toonami Faithful podcast listen to it. If you don't, I'm coming for it.
And so, what did he say? Yeah, well, okay, he was just like, you guys suck. What's up with the consistency? And unfortunately, it's just every time we've lined up to record, I mean, something bad happened. Like, I couldn't make it. You couldn't make it. We'll get to that in a moment. I went over to your girlfriend's house with you there. And,
fiance's house.
Fiance's house, excuse me. And when we were screening the Jack and Triumph show at your house, unfortunately, I think I don't think that was sufficient enough to be released as an episode. So we could have had an episode out last week, but I don't think it was. We just didn't get into it because we were too busy watching the Jack and Triumph show for it to be a sufficient podcast.
Oh my God, you're a celebrity now.
Yeah, yep, I'm on. Well, I was going to save that for a little bit later on, but I think I kind of like right now I got it in my head to talk about this new Power Rangers video. And what I'm looking at, okay, the gentleman's name is Joseph Kahn. And he's directed a few videos, these movies that he makes. Now, mind you, this Power Rangers thing, everyone's talking about, gritty, and of course, definitely it's gritty. There's drug use, there's fucking violence, but it looks fucking fantastic. Like this is, I mean, maybe not to be released on like a Hollywood screen. Like, I mean, I guess a Hollywood movie would probably have a little bit more production value,
right?
But it looks better than anything I've seen on fucking like Sci-Fi. Like, why doesn't Sci-Fi give this guy a couple of bucks, and an original script? Because I mean, it looked gorgeous.
Well, okay, so basically what happened was, and it's kind of funny because really there wasn't anything that was wrong about it. But pretty much what happened was Saban, which is the rights owner of the Power Rangers series, basically said, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Like this is you can't do this." And the guy's like, "Well, this is a fan film. This is not like I mean, don't get me wrong, okay." No fan film that I know that I've seen so far, because there's a couple out there like Zordon of Eltar, Power Rangers fan film. I'm looking at that right now. MMPR, Teenagers with Attitude. I guess is affiliated with the people that are doing Zordon of Eltar. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen in any of these fan films, and I think you'll agree with me. A major actor, and what I mean by that is James Van Der Beek.
And of course, Katie Sackhoff from Battlestar Galactica. Gimme Ginchi. Okay, so I jumped on the IMDb page. Joseph Kahn. He's directed. He's mostly into directing like music videos and putting together music videos. He's done for Taylor Swift. He's done for Britney Spears. He's done for Eminem. Love the Way You Lie, Taylor Swift, that their new video, Blank Space. I know him particularly because he did a video for, he did two comic book themed, movies. He did one called, Dirty Laundry, which was a Punisher fan film, which, nowadays, Marvel is so not, we had Thomas Jane as the Punisher, we had Dolph Lundgren as the Punisher, we had the guy who played Punisher in Punisher Warzone, but Thomas Jane actually, surprisingly enough, and I guess technically you can, as long as you're not getting paid, I guess you can get away with it, because Thomas Jane was laundry, was fucking awesome. I mean, once again, that little 5-minute short was probably better than, any Punisher movie that's been put out on. I mean, that's probably like blasphemy, but that video. And Thomas Jane was an excellent fucking Punisher. Just the movie wasn't up to snuff. Then he did another one, and I forgot the name of it, which I should be right in front of me. But it was the one where it was the guy from. Oh, what the hell? It was basically the Venom movie, which I didn't like. I'll be honest with you. The Venom one was.
Never actually saw it, so I can't really say anything about it. But.
It was kind of, like, it was a decent attempt, but what it was, most of it, literally, like, you don't see Venom until like the last 30 seconds of the video, and then, and it's the guy from True Blood, the brother from True Blood. He was the actor in that one, and he's playing, Flash Thompson. And so it could have been, I don't know. It's mostly him talking. You know what I'm saying? It's beautifully shot and everything like that, but it's like him going through, and he really puts on like a real like hardcore New York City accent, because Flash Thompson would be from New York, like Peter Parker. And then at the very end, he turns into Venom, which looked better than the Venom from Spider-Man 3, but still like. It didn't capture the essence of Venom. So, I mean, when it came to Dirty Laundry, the Punisher film, fucking hit the ball out of the park. The Venom one, and the fucking Power Rangers, holy shit. And like you said, James Van Der Beek, I know him from fucking Dawson's Creek, and I'd have to say, because he's done a couple things. I mean, I know he's done a couple episodes of fucking How I Met Your Mother, but I've never seen him. I've never seen him do an action movie. Like, I've never seen him. Like, I was so fucking surprised that James Van Der Beek could be badass, because he was.
Dude, like a lot of people were surprised. Like, he's supposed to be in this new CSI series that's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like cybercrime or something. Mm-hmm. And like, so it's interesting because this is kind of like a preview of what James Van Der Beek can kind of be like, and I'm very happy to see that.
And if you watch the credits, he also co-wrote it. he co-wrote that the Power Rangers.
I love
sketch.
That shit. Well, it's just like, but getting back to what we were talking about, it's first of all, there was major actors in it. Mm-hmm. Number two, and don't get me wrong, I'm not, when I mean major actors, I'm major actors. I'm not saying like, oh, Brad Pitt's in it. No, I'm saying like James Van Der Beek. And then like, I don't know. I mean, it didn't. Other than that, there really wasn't anything else in there. I mean, I was gonna be like, oh, Transformers copyright, but for like 2 seconds. But
well, there was another guy in the movie, and I was trying to figure out his name, and his name is Gichi Gamba, and he was in a movie, coincidentally directed by Joseph Kahn, called Torque. And I remember Torque was kind of like, I remember Torque back in like, it came out in 2004, but it was sort of trying to cash in on the whole Fast and the Furious.
Right.
It was a Fast and the Furious clone, but it was about motorcycles.
Oh, I think I remember that.
Yeah. So he was in that. The guy, because when you really watch the movie, the one real major action scene is just his scene. Everything else is sort of like hinted at. He's a scene, like, I mean, when he fights the North Korean gangster, and so both of us, we were talking about, and it's kind of, we mentioned before the episode, there was a lot of people, one of the Power Rangers that's still in the public eye and still very, very active and in just in internet circles, Jason David Frank, who once again, I'm still a little sour that we didn't get our interview with him, but he posted a response because obviously something like this hits the internet. I mean, blew the fuck up. I mean, to the point. And like you mentioned, the other Power Rangers fan films. I think Saban or Saban or however the fuck it's pronounced. I think they got a little hurt because this one looked so good. You know.
Well, I don't think it's just that. I think it's the fact that, you know, now they finally have made plans of doing another Power Rangers film because they haven't since the 90s. Mm-hmm. And, like, I think basically they went, whoa, wait a minute. People are going to get confused. We can't allow this to happen. But there again, they went across in the wrong way. And because they went across in the wrong way, a lot of people, like, went down their throats. And for context, and I have it up now on GeekyInc.com. Yes, that's right. GeekyInc.com's back up, bitches. You can actually see it there. For context, it wasn't up. It was actually it got taken down on YouTube. I think it was yesterday, actually. And
well, no, because if I understand the story correctly, it was up on Vimeo first.
Yes, it was.
And on Vimeo. Which is basically, I mean, YouTube and Vimeo are the exact same thing, except that Vimeo offers high, HD, like pure HD, like super, not at all compressed video. I mean, of course, you can upload, compressed video, but I mean, if you want a high quality looking video, Vimeo, and then once you reach for you to reach like a really wide audience, it actually costs, it's basically YouTube that you pay for.
Yeah.
So, and that was part of the response when Saban or Saban or whatever the fuck you want to call it, they tried to put in a cease and desist saying copyright. He said, no, there's no copyright issue here because one, it's a fan film. Two, I've made no money off of it. He goes, if anything, first, of course, he had to get money to put together for the production cost. And he goes, it cost me money to distribute this, to put it up online, for the fans that all started watching it and streaming it and whatever, it actually cost him money, which of course, don't get me wrong. I mean, he's going to make that money back because this is, that was it was a beautiful commercial for himself. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah.
He was I mean, don't get me wrong, his heart's in the right place, but also don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure, there's a secondary, it's sort of it's a business card. I mean, at least, okay, he did that Torque movie and he hasn't done anything since, everything he's done since then has been like music videos. But, if he goes and he gets his hands on a real franchise or a movie studio goes, okay, we see how beautiful your work is. Go, here's some money, go make your own movie and give us, something as beautiful as the Power Rangers. I mean, like I said, there is an ulterior motive. This wasn't purely a fan, love of the fans project. I'm pretty sure, this is also a business card saying, hey, look at the kind of work I can give. Look at the work I can do with my own funding. Imagine if Hollywood can give me funding. So,
right. No, I agree with that.
So it cost him money. You know what I'm saying? His argument was not only did I not, not only am I not making money, I'm losing money on putting out such a high quality film. Right. But go on. I'm sorry.
Well, I was gonna say getting into, was it a good movie? Was it a bad movie? I would have to say it was. I have to do this in two ways. Was it a good movie, and was it something that I'd like to see? Of course. Did it go too far in some points? I think it did, especially with the franchise that it is. But I do think that the essence of what it was is exactly what fans like me really want to see out of an adult Power Rangers. And, it just goes to show you that, if people like something enough, they're going to want to watch it. And it's going to be popular, And
now, because the original Power Rangers came out what year? I'm looking it up right now.
93, I want to say.
Okay, 93. All right, so let's do a little math. Even if someone was 10 years old in 93, key demographic, what I'm saying, 6 to 10 year olds. Actually, no, you could go into 12, but let's just use an easy number like 10. 10 and 93, 2003 they were 20. 2013, they're 30, and and 2 years later, let's just say someone was 10 years old when the first Power Rangers came out. That person now, on average, is 32, and so, this is something that they literally grew up with. I mean, the fact that Hollywood is pumping out Transformers movies and G.I. Joe and a lot of these franchises we grew up with, I mean, of course, not that, Transformers didn't go all the way this movie did. It didn't have Sam, or as he was called in the cartoon, Spike. They didn't have Spike doing cocaine with two girls making out on the bed like this Power Rangers movie did. But, it did, it was a gritty, for the most part, a grittier remake of the Transformers. And so, and now don't be wrong, because we were talking, I started bringing up, Jason David Frank, the guy who played the Green Ranger / White Ranger, or whatever the hell, whatever colors he was. The internet went to him for a response. Obviously, his Twitter blew up, and people were contacting him. And, he had said that, he said that he was approached to do it. And when he read the script, he said, this is a kid's franchise, to the point where it's still on Nickelodeon. It's still, and I'm kind of paraphrasing him, because he goes, it's not like, and he kind of has a point. Even though Transformers came back with Beast Wars and Animal Wars and all the Machine Wars and all these other stupid kind of reiterations. Transformers, for the most part, was sort of like a dead franchise before it got rebooted into the movies. Power Rangers is still a living, breathing, viable thing that's available right now. And, and Jason David Frank did have a point. And I don't know about the settings when it comes to YouTube and stuff like that, but, really, yeah, a 10-year-old kid now can go to YouTube, search for Power Rangers. And of course, since this video is so popular, this will be, this new remake would be the first thing to pop up on the screen. And a 10-year-old is going to watch, a guy getting shot in the fucking back of the head, a guy shooting up heroin, a guy doing cocaine, So, of course, a 10-year-old, unfortunately, nowadays, if a 10-year-old's on the internet, are exposed to a million different things, negative things that would have made my parents fucking blood curdle when I was a kid. But, I kind of get, even though, part of me is like, oh, stop, part of me in the back of my head is saying Jason David Frank, oh, you're just saying that because Saban doesn't like it. So Saban doesn't like it, and you're going to side with the people that could possibly give you a job in the future. Part of me is like, don't play the fucking high and mighty. But he does have a point. He does have a point that, this is still a very, very viable property. Maybe not the way it was back in 1993, but it does kind of, and like you said, unfortunately, there are people out there who aren't super duper hip to the game, and they may think, holy shit, this is a real thing. And then also, not only is this a real thing, what the fuck are these people thinking by making this gritty remake? And now Saban might be getting letters from concerned parents, and Saban's like, no, we're family friendly. We had nothing to do with this. But it looks so, this fan film was so beautiful and gorgeous that it is very easy to get a person who's not hip to it to think that's a real, this is a real property, a real thing that came out. So
I don't think it's again. I don't think it'll be. It shouldn't be a big deal, but now that everybody in their own, it's like people like these other things out here are trying to, they're trying to do these fan films, and now they can breathe a sigh of relief because now they know, okay, well, nothing's going to really happen now. Because I think even the smaller fan films were a little bit, they were just a little bit scared that if they put their films out, now Saban was going to be like, no. But they came to an agreement. Basically, if you look at the video now, which again is up at geekyinc.com, yeah, you can plug that again. Basically, what it does is it says, it basically just gives them a disclaimer, just basically saying, hey, I don't want to,
Oh, this is a work of, not sanctioned by.
Right. I guess it didn't say it enough in there, but whatever. So that was taken care of, and I think going forward, and I wouldn't mind to see another episode that these guys bring out, but going forward, she needs to just make sure that it just needs to make sure that they don't do it anymore. You know, like Saban doesn't go after these companies anymore because, you know, it's just going to cause problems down the line. They're gonna get sued. They're gonna get sued by these companies that are trying to do it. I know, for example, that there's something floating around on the internet, and I still don't know if it's true or not, but apparently YouTube's made some changes, and, you know, I think it's just music wise, some independent artists which, you know, pertain to YouTube will have to figure out a way to not only pay their bills, but also to, you know, figure out what's going on. So, I don't know.
Gotcha. All right, so let's move on to the next thing, which we were kind of mentioned a little bit earlier. My triumphant, pun intended, television debut, which actually it's not my first time on TV. It's not even, I mean, I've been on TV a couple of times. Once when I was like a kid, when I would say in about the second grade or first grade, I was on a religious TV show. Because the studio came to my school, and basically it was a show called Christopher Close-Up. Nothing to do with the name, nothing to do with my name. That was the actual name of the show. And it was a religious show, and they just wanted to have kids talk about just like their lives and stuff like that. So I was on TV then, both me and my brother, and separate, like they interviewed us, and it was definitely a eye-opening experience. I mean, I guess that's why I'm still like, I'm such a fucking ham. I want to be famous. Because I mean, even back then it was pretty cool. Then years later, and this was back in 1997, and I used to have the YouTube video clip saved on my computer, and I can't find it anymore. I mean, it's a different computer now, but there was a time, and I remember it was like July 3rd or 4th of 1997. It was right when Independence Day came out in the U.S., and it was me and my friend went to go see David Letterman, and it was the show with David Letterman that had Will Smith promoting Independence Day, Demi Moore, and she was promoting striptease, but she had her head shaved because she was filming G.I. Jane. And then, not that same episode, but they recorded it for the next episode. Prince was the musical guest, but it was for the next day. So what happened was the camera goes over. The camera's showing the audience, and me and my friend Eric at the time, you know, we're sitting in the audience, and the camera goes to us, and then, you know, usually when you see a show and they just show the audience, you know, everyone's sort of still looking at the cameras. Yeah, everyone's still looking at the stage. Me and my friend Eric just start going fucking ape shit. Like, we're looking at the camera and we're waving and we're like, you know. So then the camera goes back to David Letterman, it goes back to us, and we're just, you know, we're throwing our hands in the air. And so David Letterman goes, that's right, school's out. And so that was us. And then he goes, and I guess, you know, the joke was, since I was a fat kid, he's like, you know, student athletes of the NCAA, you know, which is, you know, college basketball or whatever. So, you know, because the joke was I'm a fat fuck, so I'm a student athlete or whatever. But so that was like my second brush with fame. And then you can clearly, and this I can find, you can clearly see my big fucking head on one of George Carlin's, one of his specials. It was one of his later specials, and it was filmed at the Beacon Theater. And I have that I have saved on my hard drive, and I'm going to put that up in a YouTube video one day, just a clip where you could see my big fucking head. And oddly enough, I was with my brother also. Me and my brother went to go see that show together. And I guess I felt like it was like even though George Carlin is always very anti-establishment, I thought it was going to be like, I don't know, for some reason, I dressed up in a shirt and tie to go see fucking George Carlin. So that was, so I've been on TV a couple of times.
Shirt and tie.
You seem, my ugly mug has been seen on TV a couple of times. But so, you know, me without cable, you know, and you being my only friend in Rochester, I was like, I need a place to go, please. I want to see the show live. You know, I want to see the show as it's released. I don't want to watch it later on fucking adultswim.com/videos. But so I went, and you invited me over. But I thought I was going to your house. I've yet to be in your fucking house. But you invited me over to your. What's that?
Does that offend you?
You never invite me over for coffee. Or some cake. But
I got some Mountain Dew for you in a cup.
my cat farted again. Oh my God, it stinks. So we went, and I brought my laptop over, and I had wanted it to be us recording while watching the episode. Unfortunately, like, one, I got there late because I ended up I lost my car keys, and I was driving around with us, being under fucking like 5 feet of snow. I was trying to see if I could find my keys where I thought I lost them. I mean, luckily I had a spare set, but I learned a long time ago, carry 2 sets of car keys on you all the time, because in case you lock them in the car or whatever the case may be. I've always made that a habit of mine of keeping 2 sets of car keys on me. So luckily I had the set that I was using originally, and I had to pop the trunk for one of my coworkers because I was giving them a ride home. And then, I don't know, I must have left the key in the trunk or whatever the case may be. So by the time I got to your house, I mean, like, the show's coming out at 11:30. I literally get to your house like at like 11:15. And by the time we got the laptop and the microphone and everything all set up, like, it was a whole clusterfuck. So that was the whole reason we didn't put that episode out. And then plus, once the episode started, I mean, it's a funny show. So we ended up the audio, I think, that we recorded just wouldn't have been good enough for a podcast. So like the shit we're doing now is fucking podcast worthy. But and it's funny because I had told everybody, I'd fucking gone all over Facebook, and I was telling friends and family, oh, watch the show. And once again, I'm going to quote Oscar here. What did he say? He stood still like a mannequin from a big and tall shop. Well, because when I did the scene, and that's what kind of pissed me off, because I saw the second episode last night, and they had a lot more people with talking parts. The parts that they had me talking, because me and Michael Winslow kind of went back and forth, and they cut right into, because the whole joke was that Michael Winslow was selling me the furniture from June's house, but under the guise that this it's props from Police Academy or Spaceballs or whatever the case may be. And so they cut that out. But then again, from what I understand, union rules when it comes to, if someone's going to speak on camera, you have to pay them more. Now, I think I was sufficiently paid for my appearance. But I think by union rules, had they used my voice on camera, they would have had to pay me more. So, and then what really pissed me off, or what really not pissed me off, it just sort of bummed me out, was in the actual Comic-Con, the actual Comic-Con footage, which I have a picture of, so it's not like I'm bullshitting. There is a scene where Jack McBrayer is rubbing lotion on my fat naked back, which they went with the other scene with him sucking the titties, the guy that wore the fake breasts, and which was funny. I mean, they could have used both of them, or at least like when you went to when they had the extended version that's available online, they could have still used the scene where he's rubbing my back. I mean, I guess it is part. I think it's because I have tattoos. Like, I have a Batman tattoo, and I have a Metallica tattoo on my arm, and because originally they were going to have me shirtless in the studio. And the scene where they're bringing out the beer, and you see Tony Little and Tay Zonday and all these guys, Jack McBrayer, sitting around the table, where they used the gentleman that was wearing the Dragon Ball Z shirt. The original plan was I was going to be there shirtless, but then they're like, oh, well, you got tattoos that are technically like trademarked stuff, so they didn't use that scene. And then so I mean, I'm there. I wish I would have been there more. And I guess I stick out, so it's not like you used me in both scenes. But I just wish they would have used me more in the extended version. But it was a fucking cool experience, and it was a great show, and it's really funny. And at least I was part of the first episode, so I guess if anybody ever just when you watch a show, you don't jump into the second or third episode. You usually watch the first episode, so people will see me standing there like a mannequin. But okay, so I think we're about at that point where we'll be right back with more dick and fart jokes.
This episode of Two Strangers, One Podcast is brought to you by Comics Etc., 1115 East Main and North Goodman at the Hungerford Building, door number 8. Find out more information at comicsetc.biz or like them on Facebook at facebook.com/comicsetc1.
Click and Hit, enhancing the experience for all recreational smokers. Click and Hit is a one-handed portable vaporizer. This smoking pipe has a compact 4-stage design, complete with a built-in, windproof, butane refillable torch lighter. The large burn chamber holds your stash of legal herb or pipe tobacco. Click the button to ignite and inhale as usual. When you are done, put it back in your pocket for later. Smoke anytime with the touch of a button. No more carrying around grinders and tins. You can leave the pipe, rolling papers, and even your lighter at home. The Click and Hit cordless vaporizer is no bigger than a normal cigar, making it the world's smallest and most discreet vaporizer. It's perfect for use in small places or shared rooms. It's efficient, getting 5 to 8 draws from your packed chamber. It's affordable at just $19.95 each. Buy 3 and the shipping is free. Buy 4 and you get the 5th one free. Visit www.click-n-hit.com. That's clickandhit.com. And now for listeners of Two Strangers One Podcast, you can use promo code STRANGERS and receive 10% off your purchase at clickandhit.com. That's promo code STRANGERS for 10% off your purchase.
And we're back. All right, Paul. So I am this time next week. I think this time next week I'll probably be done with my trip. I'm going to be making a brief trip down to New York City. I'm really excited about going to the Titmouse 5-second animation night. It's going to be given at the School of Visual Arts. So if anyone in the New York City area, and it's only $10. I mean, it's like dirt fucking cheap. But fans of any of all the Titmouse, I mean, like with Megas XLR, and even before Megas XLR, the MTV's Downtown, Chris Pernosky, the head of Titmouse, Jody Schaefer, George Christic, and one of the writers, Alan Matz, they all attended the School of Visual Arts. So it's sort of like this weird kind of like homecoming. Now, unfortunately, from what I understand, Chris Pernosky is going to be the only one there for the 5-second animation night. But I'm definitely going this year. I'm going to start harassing people online, see if I can get any interviews or anything like that. And if I don't, big whoop, but I'm definitely going. I'm going to enjoy myself. And then also playing the Gotham Comedy Club. I want to say Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Vic DiBitetto, which I had mentioned him in a last episode. He's a comedian. He's from Staten Island. He's a real fucking Goomba. So I'm going to try to see if I can see Vic DiBitetto at the Gotham Comedy Club in Manhattan, 14th Street, which, from what I understand, is like this tiny little theater. But all the best comedy clubs in New York City are fucking tiny. Like the most world famous fucking comedy clubs in New York City are like all the size of someone's basement. So I'm looking forward to that. I get to drive the Crown Vic. I'm going to finally take my baby on a fucking maiden voyage. The 350-mile trip from Rochester to New York City. Hopefully the car doesn't break down. But it passed its inspection, and I'm going to give it a tune-up sometime this week.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. So, I'm going down to... I'm going to be going down to New York City. I mean, I reached out to a couple other people that might have wanted to go, but I guess I kind of waited for the last minute, so... Unfortunately, right now it's just going to be me. I mean, I'll probably go on Facebook and see if I could who else I'm going to hook up, and Chris Pernosky, a lot of their core group are people. They all live like in South Jersey, so we may see a lot of people that are part of the whole background group of friends that started Titmouse in the beginning. Anyway, so that's going to be pretty awesome. Okay, and unfortunately, sad news, especially for me. I mean, I was really fucking bummed out last night, which is sad because, there's of all the things to get sad about. I mean, I had a friend of mine's mother passed away, and this is a guy I grew up with. I mean, of course, that saddened me and everything like that, but it is kind of weird how like a person who's a total stranger, can affect your life in a way that their death kind of really bums you out.
Right.
And of course, I'm talking about the passing of Leonard Nimoy. I mean, it's not like this was a surprise. The guy was 82 for Christ's sake. So,
right.
It wasn't like, it was a shock. And I mean, and even like 2-3 days ago, I mean, they'd said, oh, he went into the hospital for COPD. It was like chronic pulmonary disease, which it's one of those deals where, like, you might as well just say they died of old age. You know what I'm saying? Once you get COPD, I mean, that's an old age disease. That's very few. I mean, of course, unfortunately, yes, there are young people who get it, and that's usually due to some outside circumstance. But when an old person gets it, I mean, they get it because they're old. I mean, I'm not trying to be rude or nasty or anything like that. It's just, it is what it is. But, for a guy that, 82 years old, part of, groundbreaking, just for sci-fi, I mean, I don't think we would have like comic book conventions today, because, the comic book, it used to be Star Trek conventions. I mean, that was like the first, like actual gathering of nerds, gathering of people who are like fans of this, and this is back when, when the show started in '69 and then, went on like 2 or 3 seasons and then went off the air. And there were people like meeting in some dingy fucking, hotel, ballroom. At one point was probably a beautiful room, but now it's like a mildew encrusted, pathetic, sad example, of a meeting place where people went and met and enjoyed something, shared their love. And, this is before the internet, and this is before, advertising on TV and stuff like that. I mean, you had to be a real fan to go to these, Star Trek conventions. You would have to be in the know. I mean, you'd cross country, and there was only, one a year. It's not like nowadays where like, oh, well, there's, okay, I miss San Diego Comic-Con, so I'll go to New York Comic-Con, or I'll go to, Buffalo, I'll go to the Niagara Falls Comic-Con. It's not like there's one right around the corner. I mean, this was like, you really had to go and trek and go out to go to these conventions. So, to be a part of, just to see how like, this TV show, which at the time itself was kind of laughable. I mean, the special effects were cheesy, and I mean, the budget obviously was low because it's a TV budget, especially back in those days. So then when Star Wars came out, the studios were like, hey, if the studios can make big money on this goofy star fantasy in the stars, why not? Let's what can we revive? And they said, oh, what about Star Trek? So it's how it's funny how these things kind of fed into each other, because I'm pretty sure George Lucas watched Star Trek, made Star Wars, and then Star Wars was such a big hit that it made Star Trek into a movie franchise. Then the movie franchise, started running its course, which then, kind of like people said, oh, we need to bring Star Trek back to TV. So then they brought The Next Generation, and, and then that kind of, that led to, all the other, Deep Space Nine and Voyager. And what was the other one? What was the Deep Space Nine, Voyager? Enterprise. I could have sworn there was another one. I don't know. I could be wrong.
No.
Okay.
As far as I know.
And, and then, then that kind of bleeds into then the movie remakes, the J.J. Abrams movie remakes of Star Trek, which, and of course, Leonard Nimoy, who is so, was such a part of that universe that J.J. Abrams, here he is rebooting an entire franchise, yet he still brings Leonard Nimoy in to, that is sort of like a rock to the, to the original trilogy, not original trilogy, the original Star Trek. Like, he's so influential that they kind of like wrote around him. They wanted to use him, so they're like, oh, okay, well, this reboot is really a alternate universe. It's a parallel universe. So, I think they used them in part 2 also. They used them in Star Trek Into Darkness, and then, that gives J.J. Abrams, the kind of, he's had plenty of nerd cred, but, he ends up getting the gig doing Star Wars. So it's like, it's funny how these two franchises keep feeding into each other, and all on, when you take a character like Spock, who was the quintessential nerd. I mean, here's a guy who had, his emotions in check, followed logic. And, a lot of nerds, when you live in a world where you don't really fit in, it's easy to like if you like math, math is logical. If you like, if you try to not that you hide your emotions, but, I'm pretty sure nerds and outcasts are used to not expressing themselves. So, it was very easy, and Spock was a cool guy, for a guy that's supposed to be so reserved and so quiet. He was almost a role model to fucking generations of nerds. So, and then, the other projects he was part of, I'm a diehard Transformers fan. I mean, he was a voice in the 1986 Transformers movie, the good one. He was the voice of Sentinel Prime in the 2011 Dark of the Moon, the third one in the trilogy. Quadrilogy, I guess, because I forgot about Age of Extinction. He was in the show Fringe. And, the funny thing is when you watch the show Fringe, he is even though he was on the show Fringe, he wasn't a main character. They brought him in. He probably did out of like the 50 some odd episodes they've done of Fringe. He was probably in like maybe 10 or 11 of them. But his character, William Bell, was a major part of the show. So, it just shows you that, even in a and once again, Fringe, which was coincidentally, co-created by J.J. Abrams, Leonard Nimoy, his character was an essential part of the show, even though he was physically on the show a quarter of the time. And then I found out that he directed Three Men and a Baby, which was kind of weird. Let me see, what else? What have you got for us, Paul?
Well, no, I was just going to say, I liked watching him over the years. I was skeptical of J.J. Abrams when they put one of the original characters into this movie because, well, it didn't make sense, at least from looking at it on the outside. But then, looking at it now after seeing both films, they were able, by using Spock's older character, they were able to build around and create this alternate universe to what we know as the original Star Trek. So, it's going to be interesting. I don't think they were going to have him in the third one. There were rumors that they were actually going to have, what's his name on there, William Shatner somehow, and I don't know how that plays in, but it should be interesting to see.
And it is weird how, like, the only two people left are Shatner and Sulu. Like, Kirk and Sulu, or William Shatner and oh my God.
Oh my.
Oh my. And it is kind of, I guess I should probably use that intro for the beginning of this episode. You
should.
The Mr. Sulu intro. But, yeah, I mean, I do, for a podcast that kind of like, claims that it's a nerdy podcast. I mean, I do want to pay my respects to Leonard Nimoy and everything, his incredible influence on pop culture, nerd culture. I mean, now that nerd culture has become a lot more mainstream, for a guy that, and on this day and age, I mean, you hear like when it comes to celebrity gossip and stuff like that, like nobody has a secret life anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like if someone's a scumbag or someone is doing horrible things, you hear about it. Leonard Nimoy, I mean, the guy went into his fucking 80s, for Christ's sake. And, it's not like you hear like, oh, he used to, kill puppies when he was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't hear bad things about him. Even like William Shatner, people were like, oh, William Shatner, he's a fucking asshole. I mean, he's still popular and famous, but I mean, like, there's still like people kind of understand that he's an asshole. George Takei, for years, I mean, before he came out of the closet, I mean, he kind of, not that that's a bad thing, but I'm just saying is like, he had his own kind of like little secrets or whatever. And then finally, he came out of the closet. Leonard Nimoy, you don't hear anything about. Nobody, even in the years when he was alive, like no one had anything bad to say about him.
Right.
And I guess he understood, I mean, when, he has such a full career and fucking army of fans that, will follow anything you do. He didn't, he was lucky enough where, he didn't have to do anything stupid or bad or goofy or, I mean, okay, yeah, he did like the Bilbo Baggins song or the Ballad of Bilbo.
Was there something like floating around Twitter about smoking or something involving him? Like, was he like a heavy smoker or something?
Oh, I don't know. But I mean, if that's your biggest sin, it was, at least it wasn't something like, he beat his wife or he killed puppies or,
True.
I mean, if smoking, and of course, I mean, like I said, 82 years old, COPD, the chronic pulmonary disease, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. I mean, if you were a smoker, and, also keep in mind the fact that he came from a time where it was way before people knew about the dangers of cigarettes and stuff like that. So, it was just probably just part of the culture he was raised. If that's the thing, I'll be honest with you, I haven't heard anything about that, but if that's the deal, totally understandable. So moment of silence, and we're back. And I guess the last thing, as for big nerdy news, we finally got a reveal of Jason Momoa as Aquaman. And of course, it's kind of old news now because it would have been new news if we recorded back when we were supposed to fucking record.
All his fault, ladies and gentlemen. All his fault.
Yeah. But I like it. I like the new Aquaman look. I mean, it's a little much. It's a lot. It's kind of a lot to take in. Whereas I had the picture up here a second ago. Jason Momoa as how did I lose it? Hold on. Unite the Seven, which people are like wondering, what do you mean Unite the Seven? Is he saying Unite the Seven Seas? That's what a lot of people are saying, that when he's saying Unite the Seven.
Right.
Okay, so he's carrying, I'm looking at a picture right now. Okay, so he looks very much like the 90s kind of like reboot of Aquaman, where, he has a beard. He has Poseidon's, and they say a trident, but it's not a trident because it actually has 5 points. They kind of give him like this scruffy, scraggly, not really dreadlocked, but I mean, if you look at that looks like the hair like a surfer would wear. You know what I'm saying? Like a guy, lets it just wear natural. And then he has like the tattoos on his arm, which if you look at it closely, it's actually the Aquaman A upside down a bunch of times. So it's sort of like I think that's pretty badass. And Jason Momoa himself actually has a tattoo on his forearm. He has his personal tattoo is it's a Maori tattoo or one of those the Pacific Island where it's people, and it's called the shark's tooth design. It's basically just a bunch of triangles, but I don't want to speak bad. I don't want to speak about something I don't really know about, but it is sort of from the Pacific Islanders type of tattoo. So I mean, they could even leave that in because he kind of has it on his chest, the shark's tooth tattoo, and then his arm kind of, like I said, has the Aquaman A upside down, but it sort of looks like chainmail all down a little bit. He has the Aquaman A on his belt buckle, which, I'm pretty sure they're not going to say it's the Aquaman A. I'm pretty sure they're going to say, oh, it's a symbol. Same way like, in Superman, it was like, oh, this is not an S. It stands for hope on my planet. So I'm pretty sure the Aquaman A is going to stand for something else, the house of whatever. But he looks pretty badass. I mean, he doesn't look too much from what he did as what he did on Game of Thrones. But if it works, it works. It's not the cheesy, corny orange and green Aquaman. They're gonna make him look badass. So let's see how it fits into the Batman v Superman universe.
Yeah, it should be interesting.
Yeah, I'm digging it. And plus, I mean, I could see how women fell in love with this guy back in Game of Thrones, and he was also in Magic Mike. So I mean, I could easily see how we're gonna use this guy, shirtless guy, buff, whatever, to So I'm pretty sure if we want to take our female counterparts to the movies, I'm pretty sure they're not going to say no because they get to see hunky Jason Momoa. So with that, we'd like to tell our listeners you can go visit twostrangersonepodcast.net. That's twostrangersonepodcast.net. You can find all things show related. You can find links to our iTunes page. So if you have an iPhone, iPad, iPod, you can subscribe to us on any of your iDevices. If you don't have an iPhone, iPad, or iPod, you can subscribe to us on Stitcher. That's STITCHER. And like I said, next week when I go driving down to New York City, I'm probably going to be using my Stitcher app because that's how I listen to most of my podcasts. When I'm not on my computer, and sometimes even when I'm on my computer, I'll use the Stitcher app because it holds on to the 6 most recent episodes of any podcast, and any podcast worth listening to is on Stitcher. Kevin Smith's Smodcast, Chris Hardwick's Nerdist, Adam Carolla, Mark Maron, any podcast worth listening to, and of course the Toonami Faithful podcast. It's all on Stitcher. And the cool thing is, like on your phone, you don't have to use up your data. You can download your episodes while you're in your Wi-Fi spot, where you're at home or at McDonald's or Starbucks or whatever. Download all your most current episodes and then listen to them while you're out and about, so you don't have to kill your data on your phone. Let me see. If you want to visit us on Facebook, And if it kind of like to help contribute to the show, it just takes 2 seconds to share us on our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/2strangers1podcast, all spelled out. Once again, that's facebook.com/2strangers1podcast, all spelled out. If share this particular episode or share the page, it really helps. Like I said, I mean, of course we want money, but if you can't give us money, you can just share that. Let me see. If you want to write to us, like Oscar does, I love you, Oscar. You can write to us at 2strangers1podcast@gmail.com. Once again, it's 2strangers1podcast, all spelled out, at gmail.com. And and it's funny because I do little things online, and it's funny to see like little bumps in our like just yesterday, and we haven't had an episode in 2 weeks. Just yesterday we had 82 visits and 13 downloads. I mean, it's not the greatest numbers in the world, but shit, it's pretty fucking cool. So once again, you can write to us at 2strangers1podcast@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at Stranger Podcast. I keep saying I'm going to be more interactive, and there's so much shit to do once I get in front of my computer. So that's 2strangers1podcast. Excuse me, at Stranger Podcast. And that's all I can think of for now. I acquiesce the floor to you, sir.
All right, well, you can find me on Twitter at Paul Pescrillo. It's spelled Pescrillo is my last name. You can look me up on Instagram. It's instagram.com/Paul Pescrillo. And you can also ask me questions. As I keep saying, I like answering Toonami questions, but I would love to answer other questions. It's ask.fm/Paul Pescrillo as well. Ask me whatever questions you have. Also, I have Geeky Inc. back up, and whenever the website decides to do as I command, so to speak, and put the sidebar up that I want, this podcast will actually be there too. So yeah, look forward for that. Also, we're doing movie reviews now, so I want you guys to look out for those. Most of them are geeky, but we are doing some ones that are, more of a mainstream, like 50 Shades of Grey, Focus. Some, people have been requesting these kinds of reviews, and because they do bring traffic to my site, I have been putting them up, but they mostly will be geeky in nature. So check them out right now. It's geekyinc.com. You'll see them up right now.
And I've been kind of really dragging my feet. I've been wanting to do one for the Lego Justice League versus Bizarro League. They sent me a screener copy. Unfortunately, I've been dragging my feet so long that actually now it is available in stores. And I happened to be, I was in Target the other day and I saw it online. I saw it on their shelves, and they're only asking $15 for it. And it's the special edition, which not special edition, but it actually comes with a Lego Bat Zorro, the Bizarro Batman, Bat Zorro, and it was only like $15 in Target. So and I was like, they sent me a $15 thing to do a review. But it's very, very cute. It's fun with. It kind of takes a little bit departure, but of course, this is aimed more for younger viewers, so you don't have to follow the fucking comic books exactly. It's a fun romp, and it's fun like all the other any Lego property, like the Lego movie or any of the Lego video games. It's fun. That's the greatest thing I can say about it. So check it out. And as I'm right now, right before we sign off, I'm looking at like our downloads from the past week. And it's funny, like I said, we haven't put out an episode in 2 weeks, but we still have visitors and downloads. And, once again, much love from Seattle, San Jose, San Francisco. I don't know, it's something about the Northwest that loves us. But then we have a lot of love from North Carolina also, from Raleigh. And
North Carolina, come on, raise up. I don't know how.
Yes, and once again, our website, unfortunately, kind of just rounds up the downloads and kind of puts it towards the most major city. So, these aren't necessarily from Raleigh, North Carolina, but we got Raleigh, North Carolina, Greensboro, North Carolina, and then, then after that, then New York. So New York, you're getting beat out by New York City, where my fucking friends and family are from. They're actually getting beat out by North Carolina. So New York, you guys got to step up. But thank you to North Carolina. Anchorage, Alaska. That's that one I love. Seattle, Washington, Wichita, Kansas, Buffalo. Like I said, and we're like an hour away from Buffalo, and we get lumped in with Buffalo. So, and San Jose, St. Louis, Missouri, But I just want to say a shout out. And if you're not exactly from those towns, like I said, we're an hour away from Buffalo, and the website lumps us together. So even if you're about an hour away from these cities that I just shouted out, but thank you to all the new listeners. Thank you for the people who interact with us on Twitter. Thank you for the downloads. Thank you for the people that have been watching our videos on YouTube and on Facebook. It's been super fucking awesome. We certainly hope you guys enjoyed listening and had as much fun as we did recording. Thank you for listening to Two Strangers One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
Don't be a stranger.
Peace. We're out.
Bye.
I'm going to kill you.
You should be fapping. What color is the dress?
I don't know.
I love you, monkey nuts.
Actually, ask me what color the dress is.
What color is the
It
dress?
doesn't matter what color the dress is.
All right, here we go, man. Go ahead. You want to read
Double
it?
Jackpot.
What is it?
It is a self-published book by Christopher Cologne.
Chris Cologne smells good to me.
But
Look at her. That broke that fucking cold little exterior. He's like, hee.
but it is spelled Colon.
Him punny.
But Double Jackpot is a book about a comic book artist, Eric, who is in a loveless relationship with a materialistic
I feel you, Eric.
Lynette.
Oh, fucking. Are you sure I didn't write this? I sounds hauntingly familiar.
He starts cheating on his girlfriend with a more creatively supportive woman, Nadia.
Well, I got to meet her. Where's the Nadia?
There's your summer girlfriend.
Summer Nadia. It's Nadia.
Nadia?
Yeah, I think Nadia's spelled with an A.
All right.
Both Lynette and Nadia play the double jackpot, the largest payout in lotto history, much like the recent Powerball. Both girls play his birth date as the winning numbers. Eric is now stuck between two of the country's richest women. Who will he choose? It's not that simple. This is a clever fucking idea,
Yeah, it
man.
is.
Look at her, fucking. She's impressed.
I am.
She got some summer reading. Christopher Cologne smells real lovely with an original idea. This is. I've never heard this before.
I haven't either. This is a self-published book, much in the indie spirit as Kev's Clerks.
Oh, you don't even need to name check me. This is just a good idea. You could stand on your own, man. You don't even have to be like, hey, remember Clerks? This is nothing like that. This is way more original than Clerks. This is a good idea, man. Why didn't I think of this?
I need something to read. This book is part of the Comic Books, Heavy Metal, Video Games Trilogy Book 2. Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, coming soon.
Right on, man. It's part of a trilogy. This is the first part.
Way to write, man.
He's seeking a literary agent. Motherfuckers, anybody out there? There ain't no literary agents listening to this show, I assure you, sure. Sure. I assure you, sure. But somebody know a literary agent? Hook a motherfucker up! Chris Cologne come up with an original idea. I should tell Raskin. That's a good fucking idea, to be honest with you. That's a fucking rom-com right there. Megan, get Raskin on the phone. Isn't it possible to get Raskin on the phone? No?
Yeah.
I want to run it past him, man. I want to, and if it happens, I get a taste, Chris Cologne. I get a whiff, if you will.
The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com.
That's lulu.com.
I understand that. I just want to spell it out.
Normally one says it, that spells it. Still, lulu.com. What is that? Do you know what it is?
I don't know. All right. The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com. Search for Double Jackpot Christopher Cologne. A paperback version of the book is $15 and a PDF file is only $5.
$5 is
Yeah.
insanely inexpensive. 15 is not even that bad for a paperback version.
No.
This is $1 million idea right here. Like a movie about a dude who fucking is stuck between two chicks, both of who play his birthday and win the lottery. Come on! I can see that trailer. Chris Cologne is on to something. Nobody else can smell it but me.
I'll read it.
Thank you. I'm going to make that smelly joke.
I know. You're trying to get me to laugh again.
It worked once. Double Jackpot is a self-published book by Chris Cologne, man. It's the first book in his comic books, heavy metal, video games trilogy. Book 2, Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, should be coming out soon. Get all the information at Chris Cologne, like a motherfucker.
I
and
will
his
totally
book,
read this.
Double Jackpot. I'm serious. I'm going to recommend that to fucking Raskin. How is that not a movie? You know what I'm saying? This could be a sexy movie. You could do an R-rated version. There could be nudie in it, and you could show them fucking both chicks. Maybe a little penetration. Maybe a butthole shot. No butthole, no care.
I would like to formally apologize to Christopher Cologne.
No, sex sells. Chris Cologne will appreciate that. He's like, thanks for throwing a few buttholes in there, man.
Don't forget to check out twostrangersonepodcast.net, your one-stop resource for everything show-related. You can find links to subscribe to us on iTunes or on Stitcher. You could also find links to buy my book, Double Jackpot, on twostrangersonepodcast.net.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. And fuck you, I'm out.